these are the weapons which have been recovered from Churachandpur. Now, I'm not going to make fun of it, but the fact of the matter, Suhas ji, is that this is not even the tip of the iceberg. This is the grain of the iceberg. I mean to say, thousands of the weapons have been looted and this comes back. I mean to say, you have guns that are being looted which can fire for 3 kilometers and this comes back.
Well, I think, I mean, there
This
have been a
comes back.
series of mistakes.
You remember you were in my show. We showed you that weapon,
Yes,
which can fire for,
yes,
which has a which has a firing distance strength of 4 kilometers, 3 kilometers, and this is what comes back.
that's about 500 rounds per minute or something like that.
Yes, it can fire, I think, 300 to 400 rounds per minute, and it's a water cooled gun which they had taken away.
See, if you look at the uh, entire chain of events in Manipur, it's a tragedy which was unfolding, which nobody, on which nobody had acted upon. And I think the looting or handing over of the arms was one of the instances. And in fact, in one particular incident, the CBI officials had gone to, conduct the investigation with respect to the weapons looted, and they could not go, and so the investigation never had started. So that's one aspect of the what's the problem. The second aspect of the problem, which was from the origin itself, was as I had said many times that uh, we remain a mute witness, fail to learn anything when we decided, or government of India decided, to transfer civilian populations from the hills to the valley, from the valley to the hills. And if you recover this kind of weapons at this point of time, I don't think this recovery in any manner is going to evoke any confidence. So it looks like a joke at this point of time. If you look at the number of weapons, lost, 4,000 to 6,000 weapons lost, 500,000 to 600,000 ammunitions lost.
So,
If
Haji,
you
even
recover,
today, there are reports of wire agencies that the weapons in the valley were snatched away from the police. It has been reported.
so that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you look at the way the state had acted or not acted and allowed this
In which state you
situation,
have the audacity to attack the police to snatch away the weapons? That's the last thing you do, because you know that you'll be shot if you do something like that.
no, not necessarily, because if you look at the way the civilian vigilante groups verifying the identity cards of the security forces, and security forces in certain situations even letting up the wanted people, I mean, who were responsible for various kind of terrorist activities as per the Ministry of Home Affairs. These activities cannot continue without some kind of political sanction at the highest level. I do not think the security forces, which are under the Ministry of Defense or which are under the Ministry of Home Affairs, will be acting in this manner without the sanction of the Home Ministry. So the way you look at so that's what I'm saying. The Home Ministry and the Defense Ministry, they have given basically given some sort of clear
So,
instructions
as you know,
that,
Geetarani ji, can you answer? I'm getting this on my mobile. Now I'm taking questions which are people putting up. A lot of people are saying that when police cannot guard their weapons, अपने अगर अपने आप अपने weapons की रक्षा नहीं कर सकते, तो आप कुकी जोमी MLAs को सुरक्षा क्या देंगे? A lot of people are writing this. I want you to answer that, ma'am.
See, that question is irrelevant because the situation at that time when the weapons were looted was different. And providing security to the MLAs is like will be a joint effort of the central forces and the state forces. Obviously, that should not be a big issue. And regarding this snatching of arms, the situation at that time, which I got from the ground from the people, was like a warlike situation. They believe that the Sioux militants, the Kuki militants were coming down from the hill, and like the houses were burned in the hill districts, and people were drove down, and those people, those villagers staying near the foothills, their houses were burned. So those villagers they were desperate to safeguard the boundary of their villages. It was like a warlike situation, as I mentioned. So at that time, it was like a complete failure of law and order situation. Mob had taken control. At that time, this looting of the arms and ammunition happened both in the valley and in the
But the
hills.
weapons have not
So
come back, ma'am.
yes, only few have come back, and as you said, it's these numbers are nothing what they have been recovered. They have recovered. But I would like to hope that this is the beginning, and both central and state forces they should combine and then do a combing operation each house and recover both from the plain and the both from valley and the hill areas. So only after that happen, only after the arms have come back, then real peace will return. Otherwise the peace right now is manufactured. That's why anytime violence can erupt. So all these arms, this that should be the first priority before even starting to think about talking about peace, or people initiated talks about peace. Those arms have to be brought back. That's unquestionable.
Okay, Mr. Misao, you wanted to speak. You wanted to say something. You raised your hand.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was also on the same page with Geetarani when she said few miscreants. That's the same things I was also saying when all the local media interview me and asked me about my opinion on the situation of Manipur. I said the entire Meitei communities are not bad people, and the entire Kuki communities are not bad people. But I was sending out a strong message to the entire population saying that just because of few miscreants, we should not let our state burn. And I was also like telling the people of Manipur that we should not fall prey to the external forces they are playing to divide us. Now, unfortunately, I'm extremely, my heart feels like crying because at some point of time, I feel it's all because of some miscreant. But now looking at like, there are less kind of people who speak like Geetarani. And I have seen all the intellectual, I should say, most of the intellectual being radicalized, starting from professor from leading universities, the way how they talk, the way how they speak, and the way how they seize on our community, in spite of the kind of services or contribution that Kuki community had made to Manipur, starting from 1825 to 26, when Maharaja Gambhir Singh, the Kuki helped them to regain Manipur after 7-year devastation. And in 1857, Maharaja Chandrakirti was helped by the Kuki chief from the Awalan, that we call it Burmese War. At the same time, 1992 to 97, the Kukis have shed their bloods and lost their life to protect the Manipur integrity from those elements who are trying to disintegrate Manipur. Now, in spite of all those things, as I was saying, Manipur peoples are highly intellectual, and these highly intellectual people, they are purposefully turning blind eyes to the history, the facts and figures. And now when they just come up and saying that cookies are illegal immigrant narco terrorists, what would they feel if I say Meiteis are all rapists? Because that's what they are doing to our sisters. But the cookies, we never call them Meiteis are rapists or Meiteis are immoral communities, just because of those miscreants, and just because of some few people who might be cultivating poppy or might be
Okay.
in drugs business. You cannot
Okay.
term the entire community as narco terrorists.
Okay.
So such kind of narrative, rather than, now, if they are really in that right sense, I think they should also work towards protecting the integrity of Manipur. Now, unfortunately, we have reached a point of no return. When we are saying Tobi Mankangdaba, that's when you don't acknowledge our services to Manipur, then we have nothing to say then to be separated from Manipur and live as a good neighbors.
सुहास जी, when he says points of no return, आप गए कहाँ हैं? आप हैं तो मणिपुर में ही ना, हैं तो उसी की टेरिटोरियल इंटेग्रिटी में, बाउंड्री में ही तो है ना सुहास जी.
No, absolutely. I think we have to remember one thing. The moment we say these are the tasks of few miscreants, we are really undermining the problem. When the entire edifice of the state structure has collapsed to the point that the state no longer exists, that you can't say that these are the handiwork of some miscreants, etc. Miscreants cannot loot 5,000 to 6,000 arms. Miscreants cannot loot 500,000 to 600,000 ammunitions. I think in India, whenever we face this situation, we always say these are the fringe element, they are not the mainstream, and etc. Please remember, the people whom you are describing from both sides as miscreants, they are not miscreants. They are part of the mainstream. They are part of the political structure of both the communities, whether it's connected with the party or not. And that is why these miscreants are still able to carry out activities which determines the narrative. So let's not say these are miscreants and etc. If a genuine process of establishing accountability starts, don't you think the heads of so many people, many of whom we know from all sides, actually will roll? And if there is a genuine inquiry as to the loss of the arms, you know how many people will be prosecuted? So many arms have been looted. Forget about the killing, rape, and etc. The arms being looted from the security forces, and the security forces themselves failing to perform the official task. So if you start taking the action as per the law, you would realize that they are not the miscreants and they are not the minority groups. They are the majority who have shaped the narrative and who are still strong. And because they are very powerful, that's why neither the Home Minister, neither Biren Singh or anybody else can take action. Even CBI cannot go. So you have a situation whom you are calling miscreants. They are not miscreants. They are the mainstreams and they will decide. And unfortunately, if we say that,
saying that the
undermine
mainstream is creating the problem. So you are saying that the mainstream is creating the problem in Manipur. If that is my takeaway, the mainstream actors, mainstream civil society actors, mainstream political actors, you are saying it is not an act of periphery. It is the mainstream which is.
That's what I'm saying. They are not peripheral or fringe elements. You cannot have fringe element looting so many arms, so many weapons, and burning down so many houses. 6,000 FIRs. So what are you talking about? And look at the number of population in the state, 3 million, and look at the number of people who have displaced.
Okay.
So we might say that they are not political actors. Everybody knows who are these people. Please don't tell me that from both communities we do not know who are these people who have engaged in violence.
Okay.
I mean, we know, everybody knows it. We might say them, term them as miscreants to undermine or to say or to create a sense that
Okay.
for the
there is one
sake
important
of
bite
peace.
which has come, that the Kotu ITLF apprises Manipur governor to defer assembly session, says it will not allow 10 Kuki-Zo MLAs to attend the assembly session. Now the copy says, representing the voice of the tribal Kuki-Zo, the Committee on the Tribal Unity, Sadar Hills, Kangpokpi and indigenous tribal leaders for apprise the governor of Manipur of the current turmoil in the state and urged to defer the 4th session of the 12th Manipur Legislative Assembly summoned to be held on August 29. The two tribal Kuki-Zo bodies submitted a joint memorandum to the governor of Manipur through the Deputy Commissioner Kangpokpi and to have a sympathetic look at the present situation. Earlier, Kotu and ITLF, considering the alleged complete breakdown of law and order and the unconducive situation for the Kuki-Zo MLAs, the two tribal Kuki-Zo bodies urged the governor for a protracted action. Now, the point is, you have a separate force saying that even the meeting should not take place, but the meeting will take place. Meeting should take place. The assembly should meet for longer period of time. And I hope the assembly not only works, but works out for longer period of time, and there should be some sort of a assurance given that the assembly meeting. But I completely agree with the panelists that more needs to be done to get these guns back. More needs to be done to get the guns back so that the normal life can be restored and all eyes will be on the Manipur session. But yes, these guns are simply not even the tip of the iceberg. They are not even the tip of the iceberg. It is nothing what has gone out. It is nothing in context of heavy machinery which has been moved out. This is simply nothing. It's a good effort by our security forces, but nothing. But all eyes are set what happens tomorrow in Imphal.